Hey guys, EST here with a very important video. This is how do hikers get lost? And by hiker, I do mean recreational hikers, but this would definitely apply to you having to walk through a forest against your will because of any kind of event, really. And there are 5.5 major categories that I found between the different websites that I looked this up on. And I think the percentages are going to kind of surprise you, but it could be split into 7 categories depending upon if you think the Sasquatches are working with the aliens or if they're driving the UFOs. Just kidding, it's not that kind of video. So these are statistics from the government and from nonprofits and from the parks themselves. And of course, I'm going to tell you how to avoid all these. So in the 40% range was people wandering off the trail, either on purpose or on accident. Maybe they misinterpreted, what they meant by big rock or mixed up left and right or north and south. Various reasons, but as soon as you're out there, boy, you probably didn't think, oh, it's a 3-hour hike. I don't need to bring, 2 days worth of water. And then, you get in trouble real quick. Don't have a way to light a fire because, well, that's not allowed in the park anyway. A little tip for you, bring it anyway. So just to specifically avoid getting lost, not to mitigate when you're already lost, because that could be its whole other video, and I cover it heavily with the other topics, get an offline GPS app. I think there's an app literally called Offline Maps. You can get 2 regions for free, and then you pay after that. And the regions are like entire states, so you can just like download the whole state, and then you don't need any data connection. All it needs is GPS, and you can get GPS through trees. If you can't climb one or just get your elevation up a little bit. I would also bring your old phone, which I always recommend people keep, and then load it onto there as well, so that you got a fresh battery all set to go, turn it fully off. But even if you're going out for a hike and you got no signal, so you're not going to get a text message or a notification because there's no cell towers, well then turn off mobile data, turn off Wi-Fi, in fact, put the whole phone in complete and utter airplane mode, and then past that, even turn off more things because airplane mode no longer turns off certain things, I think like Bluetooth, and you'll have an idle time with even a modern smartphone of like 2 weeks. And then if you have a little like 1 to 2 ounce ultra thin like 4-watt flexible solar panel with a USB output and a little cable, you're looking at an ounce and a half. A little 18650 battery in a mini enclosure, that's about 2 ounces. So not much of a burden, and you could use that to like recharge your flashlights as well, and some other cool stuff. Little source of power goes a long way, especially if you have an offline GPS app, offline compass. Or if you're just going to use Google Maps, which you shouldn't, it freaks out when there's no data. You can, when you're planning a route under some circumstances, hit, hey, download the whole thing in case I drop signal on the way there. It's not the most intuitive, and usually it pops up and asks you, but it's in like some menu somewhere. I would just get a full offline maps program. In fact, I wouldn't even get the free one. I would pay for one. They're like $10 to $20. In fact, I think OpenStreetMaps is free too. Now, as far as not getting lost, keep checking your location. Have a manual compass or have a compass that works on your phone. A little tiny portable compass that's durable is like, a 1/10 of an ounce? I mean, you won't feel that in your pack. And that requires no batteries. Trust me, as much of a tech guy as I am, if it doesn't require batteries, I'm going to favor it if it works perfectly and reliably. Also, if you know that there's no useful maps of this place, try and at least get the satellite image of the whole area for multiple miles at multiple zoom levels, and just snapshot it on your computer, then download it to your phone. And just open that thing as a JPEG, real easy. Then at least you'll know major landmarks, or like, wow, this is that river with that curve in it, or I can see that mountain, that hill, that rock, that whatever, that clearing. Or you'll at least know what direction to go to hit like a highway or some railroad tracks or something like that. A lot of people say, oh, I don't need that, I won't get lost, and then they do. And I'm not saying never go off the trail either, because some curated nice little trail made by people and stamped down by a bunch of hikers, not that realistic if you want to know if you could walk through the woods, if it's a realistic simulation. And I also would say, yeah, do go out and go hiking, because that is the best way to just get hands-on experience of like, this is what it would be to travel through the woods. And some real nice, tidy little trail, unrealistic. You'll get an unrealistic pace, let's put it that way. You'll be able to move a lot slower through brush when you have to be careful where you step. Also, if you park your car, if there's a cabin, if there's a hotel, you can just click and hold, even if it's not a spot on Google Maps, and put a pin there, and it's based on the longitude and latitude. Little tip for you, it takes a couple seconds. Also, to just move through the woods, look at a faraway landmark and keep moving towards it. Because if you're thinking, oh, okay, so this way is east, we have to go east. Cool. And then, oh, well, I got to walk around this tree. Well, there's a 10-degree, deviation. And you kind of maybe straighten it out. And then, well, I kind of want to go around this rock or that slope. But we're still going east, right? Humans are unbelievably bad at this. I've seen so many studies, YouTube videos, Mythbusters episodes where they try to walk in a straight line, and it's impossible. In the woods, it is impossible unless you know the trick of what's the furthest away thing I can see. Okay, that's a slightly different tree, or that's like a rock, a thing, a pile of dirt, a disturbance in the snow. Okay, and that's pretty much east. I'm going to walk to that. And then when you have to walk around a tree and around a slope and around a river, then you're like, oh yeah, but that landmark right there, that hasn't moved. I'm shocked at how many people don't know that trick. You can also try to mark your path with like markers. It would be luck coming back across it and tying like a red ribbon around every 50th tree is just like littering. And then what are you going to mark it with? Did you bring like spray chalk or something for the bark? It's kind of obnoxious. It's kind of stupid, but in some circumstances you could do it. And you could just put like, if you know it's not going to blow away or get moved by the rain or something like that, you could do just like a stick in the ground and do like a little X or something, or like a little arrow like I already went this way, but then you're already assuming you're going to double back on yourself. So I don't love that. Also, it can be wiped away, but it is a method, so I thought I'd mention it. If you can bring a radio, but those things are expensive and nobody knows how to use them usually, so that's like a whole thing. Personally, I'm not a radio guy at all, so I'd have to have like a 2-hour course on it to get it end-to-end, frequencies, encryption, sub-channels, all this stuff, ranges, slopes, battery levels, and then they all take proprietary batteries, and just, it's not my scene, so I stay away from it, but they're also really heavy, and who else is broadcasting? It's kind of old tech. I'm not a fan. But if your whole party has a lightweight radio, there you go. With like a nice USB-C port that you can use a battery bank or a solar with. Hey, there you go. Unlimited power from the sun. Let's go. But a whistle. If you get a whistle and also put some earplugs in with the whistle, just little tip for you there. Some of those at full blast can go 120, 130, 140 decibels. You can hear that for a mile. That's basically a gunshot. If you know they're looking for you or you want them to start looking for you, a 1 mile blast of Here I Am will go a very long way. And you can get a lot of whistle compass combos that also have rope wrapped around them and stuff, paracord. So, those little gadgets, little combined gadgets, they seem gimmicky, but they're actually kind of nice. So that's about it for not getting lost. Have a map, make sure it works offline, have a way to power your phone and bring backups for that. So, not terrifically complicated. And then just don't get turned around by focusing on staying on the correct path, or if you're going to go off the path, use a landmark that you can repeatedly see from all angles. So down in the 20% range was weather events, unexpected weather. So 1, check the weather. And then 2, when you're about to go out, check the weather again as it changes. Here's a little conspiracy theory for you, if you could even call it that. Weather reports are actually getting less and less and less accurate in the last 2 to 3 years, which has not been the general trend for the last 50 years because computers get faster and the math gets better and they keep improving it because there's a financial incentive for being accurate. However, the weather reports might have noticed in the last 2 years have been horrifically inaccurate, and nobody knows why, except everybody knows why. It's because AI took all the compute units, all the, I'd say GPUs, but they are more like compute units, like NVIDIA Teslas and whatever they call them now, M4000s or whatever. And they sold them at a much higher rate, and they could only make so many in a year, to the AI people, which is everyone. Everybody's building an AI data center. Everybody's crunching numbers like crazy because they think it's the next gold rush, despite it being the next bubble. It's not going anywhere, but it's unreliable, power-heavy garbage that has no profit margin. Nobody's willing to pay the amount it takes. But for now, they're buying up all the compute units. Well, those were used most heavily by far by weather prediction supercomputers. So now they, because of budget and because of availability, can't get their hands on enough compute units because AI took them all. And so keep in mind that weather is getting less and less accurate. Just be aware of that. So just because it said it was good to go 6 hours ago doesn't mean you shouldn't check right before you leave. And if you can, get multiple sources, but be sure that those multiple sources actually are different sources. So usually I say one commercial, one government. So what is it? NOAA.gov or weather.gov or something is slightly different than Weather Channel and weather.com and AccuWeather. I think those 3 use the same database, the same info. Or those were the 2 different ones. I don't know, but look it up. And if they conflict each other, well, welcome to the lower accuracy of weather. And then also take the worst one into account. Just now think, okay, that could happen because this one said it could happen and it might be right. Now, if something looks wrong, you're seeing some clouds and you're like, I don't know about that. That wasn't supposed to happen. That's darker. It's getting humid. It just dropped 10 degrees. This is weird. Turn back. Like immediately turn back. It's not worth it. Or like hurry up, skip a part. Like if you're going to go see some statue or some cliff, just like beeline it to where you were really going, or basically as quickly as you can cancel the trip. If what you see with your eyes and feel with your skin and every other, sense you got says, no, the weather doesn't seem to be doing what it was quote unquote supposed to. And if you have no other option, then just turtle in place and say we're overnighting it. You should always be prepared to overnight it with whatever gear you're bringing. You want to get a jump on it no matter what you have with you, from everything to nothing, when it comes to shelter and warmth and food and water. Which you should be fine on food and water for a day or two, because you're hiking, just saying. Should have brought a lightweight filter and stuff, or like even more water, a higher percentage of the carry weight if it's like a desert or a place where you can't easily get water, or it's insanely polluted. But yeah, you don't want to say, okay, no, I guess we are overnighting it, but I was hoping, I'll take another try to find the trail. Don't worry, I'll find my way out. Always assume you won't, and then make the decision to not be in denial about your situation, to say, we are sleeping out here. Oh, well, cool. And if you make that decision 1 to 2 hours earlier, that's 1 to 2 hours of building a shelter and a fire and getting good to go, insulating, against the ground, build some leaves, some pine needles, whatever, you've seen all those videos. Everything you got to do to stay warm, stay cold, stay whatever. Stay safe, get up high, build a hammock. Deploy your hammock. You don't want to do that at 11 o'clock at night in the dark when you finally give up and say, okay, maybe I'm not finding my way out of here, and you're already starting to get cold and you're already sweating. Especially if, like I said, you're lost because of a weather event, from it being snow to fog to just rain slowing you down, or you had to stop because of rain and now you don't know if you'll get out by the dark. You got to make that decision soon and adapt to what you're seeing. And if you're a trip dependent upon high visibility, as soon as that's not true, or when it's approaching being not true, either stop, come up with something better, retrace your steps, get out your GPS app, whatever you got to do, you got to make that decision quick. Don't be in denial. Also, don't overestimate your ability to deal with heat or deal with wetness or deal with cold. Just, I could power through it. I've been through colder. I'm from the Midwest. You're already exerting more energy than you probably would normally in a day. So you're already really pushing it from like an energy standpoint, from like the amount of glucose in your pancreas or whatever, however all that works, and the amount of vitamin B to help break it down. You're already pushing it. Also, do not let yourself sweat, because then as soon as you're in pretty much any climate where it gets pretty cold at night, which is all of them just about, as soon as you stop moving and that sweat all starts evaporating, you're going to cool down, because that's how sweat works. So don't get sweaty. Avoid it at all costs. Dress in layers, don't be afraid to take stuff off, and unless there's crazy insects, which why would you hike through that anyway, go shirtless if you have to stop yourself from overheating and sweating, if you have to keep up the pace. And if you're getting wet from the rain, it's getting through your protective stuff, boy, you didn't plan correctly. Or if you're getting too sweaty under your rain stuff, you gotta let the rain slow you down and just adapt from there. Or cancel the plans or change them, change your route, cut it in half, whatever you want to do, delay it by a day if it is raining out, because rain is no fun. Or replace something in your pack with an umbrella. And then change up how your boots work and maybe put a plastic lining in between your boots and your socks. This is very climate dependent, and every time I think, I'm stuck out somewhere, it's always the woods, because it's woods everywhere where I live. I've never been stuck out in a desert, but nor would I ever go hiking in one or have any interest to go anywhere hot, ever. So to me, it's all snow and whatever, so if I seem a little oriented to that. But in deserts, you usually could see where you're going a heck of a lot better. So the next big category, and this one was all over the place depending upon where I looked. In some, they had this as the number one cause, and in others, they had it as down to as low as 7%, but it's injuries. Well, one, bring a basic med kit. Actually, bring an advanced med kit, not some scrape boo-boo nonsense that won't get infected, yeehaw, Band-Aid thing. You want some real stuff. You want some topical anti-itch stuff in case you come into contact with something you don't like. Just some basic little pain pills. Might as well put those in there because there's also lower fever. A couple water purification tablets, plus a little coffee filter. That's less of a med kit and more of a preventative med kit. But I just put that stuff in my med kit. So I thought, well, why not do it all in one and then keep it waterproof? A really good like trauma daily like urban medical kit, the smallest I've seen is still pretty big. Like it takes up like a quarter of my backpack. It's pretty nuts. There's a lot of like redundant stuff. I could shrink it down and I could put it in a smaller, tighter waterproof case that probably weighs less. But it's big, so a lot of hikers are like, oh, I'll be fine. No, you won't. And if you've got peroxide or isopropyl alcohol for disinfecting a wound, you're already doing it wrong. Bring iodine. It's lighter, it's usually in glass, and it's a better option. Also, a little thing of super glue is a nice little emergency thing too. That'll fill a cut as soon as it somewhat stops bleeding. I mean, I've heard people say it's a miracle, everything, and that's what it was invented for, was treating wounds. And it is generally non-toxic, but if you've already stopped bleeding, then you've already stopped bleeding. You're basically just putting a liquid bandage on it, and there is actually a literal product called liquid bandage. But super glue works better. You just need sandpaper to get it off. But to prevent from reopening a wound, it's good. Otherwise, bleed stop is what you need. People thinking that super glue could take the place of bleed stop drives me nuts. That is not how it works. But yeah, basic wound dressing and stuff. Yeah, bring that. It doesn't weigh that much. Also, bring long-range communications in case you get hurt, because you might think, oh, people all come through here. It's kind of the off-season, or like, now there'll be some people here. The rangers come through once in a while, or, well, we're no more than 2 miles from like a highway. But if you get injured, 2 miles might as well be like 5 days, crawling. Sprain an ankle, break a leg, boy, you cannot keep walking on that. It is not possible. If you get stung by the wrong insect or a whole bunch of the wrong insect, it doesn't matter if you're 5 feet from the highway. You need diphenhydramine, also known as Benadryl. Not a highway. A highway won't do anything for you. Also, cannot stress this enough. Usually it's not that kind of thing like an animal attack or somebody eating the wrong berries or doing something idiotic. It's slips and falls. That is like in the injury category, that's like 80-90% when the couple sites I saw broke it down. Watch where you're going. Make sure you wear the highest quality stuff. Make sure you don't wear, God, like my Merrells where they got these stupid metal hooks that hook on everything. I hate those things. I already took them off. I don't know what they're for. I don't know what they're supposed to do other than trip you. I got them caught on my desk at work and pulled the entire keyboard tray off in the middle of a meeting. On camera while presenting. What are you doing, Merrill? I actually injured my ankle quite badly, and I've heard from other people that this is common, so no boots with stupid hooks on them. Or hiking shoes, high tops, any of that. Get rid of that. Take it off. I don't know what it's supposed to do. Get rid of it. Also, tuck your laces into your shoe in the side. I don't know why people don't know that. But look, double check, think how slippery is that? Is that really wet? Like, you don't come across stuff like that every day, okay? You're in the woods. You probably live in something resembling a city. You're used to the sidewalk being fine. I mean, I know how to not fall over on the snow and ice because that's what I grew up with. But in the woods, you might just not know that a pile of leaves might have a certain friction coefficient and it might be dry on top but wet on the bottom. I mean, that's certain times of the year. I just know that. But if I'm out in 2 states over, I don't know what any of those leaves do. I don't know how deep they go. I don't know the terrain. I don't know if that's a hill, a divot, or a rattlesnake nest. I mean, you just got to go slower. Okay, there is, first of all, no running in the forest unless you're jogging on like a man-made path. But every log, every time you go over anything, just think, I got to plant the most, hands, like let's brace this, 2 points of contact, stuff you wouldn't normally do if you're just hopping over a brick wall to go catch a Pokemon in the middle of the city. Where my Pokemon Go players at? Come on, y'all know we do that. The best example, and I've cited this before on the channel, but it's so good. I've watched a lot of documentaries, and one time somebody watched it with me, said, why are those jungle people like acting like, they're like walking through the jungle all super, super cautiously. Like they grew up there. They know the jungle. They probably run through there. Why aren't they going full Tarzan? And I said, because they don't have cell phones. They don't have any of that stuff. They know if they slip and fall and break their ankle or sprain something, they could actually die from it, let alone the downtime. Now they can't hunt for their family and get food. They got to let the neighbors do it. So those primitive tribes, people always say, why are they walking so slowly? It's because they know there's spiders and snakes and stuff could jump out at you and you could slip and, just slow it down. The other best way I can say it, and this has got to be the most cited thing on my channel, so if you're sick of hearing it, too bad. There's some people that don't know it. If you take like a human body, 170 pounds, whatever, and you accelerate it to 2 miles an hour, okay, that took X amount of energy. We'll call it 1 energy unit. Now, if you want to accelerate them to 4 miles an hour, that takes 4 times the energy, not double. People always get that wrong. That's why they say, oh, this car was going 70 miles an hour, this was going 70 miles an hour, so when they hit together, it's like it was 140 miles an hour. Incorrect. 140 miles an hour would be 4 times the energy, whereas you had 2 at 70, which is only 2 times the energy. So if you're at like a really fast jogging speed, which I was at like 11 miles an hour, that's a lot of energy. So if you slip and fall and hit a rock at full blown, like full inertia, full potential energy, and all of that comes to a stop instantly, all the energy is dissipated by your knee, your shin, your shoulder, your arm. So going slowly not only preserves energy, but it also like doesn't expose you to potential energy. That potential, when it turns into I fell on my wrist, oops, ow, that hurts. Yeah, that's a lot of energy to dissipate. So just don't generate that much energy in the first place. It's just physics. Go slow, don't slip, double check everything, like take a second look at everything, just be ultra careful. And always be aware of wildlife, where they like to hide. They don't stand out in the open. So every time you're climbing over a log or you're going through like a low area, or there's some little dark thing or that appears to be a little hole, just think, oh yeah, there could be something in there. Now, about 5 to 6% of people were just dumb enough to go out when it's dark. They just said darkness, like it was the general cause of people getting lost and them having to go get rescued. Yeah, don't overestimate your batteries. The specs on the flashlight that you're using are almost definitely lying. So have backup batteries. Your phone probably isn't good enough. And a lot of stuff looks real different in the dark, even if there's no fog or anything, no rain. It's a lot darker than walking in a city, even a city with just like ambient glow around coming off of the clouds. You'd be surprised how much mileage you get out of that. And just the moon at all, which may not be showing through really thick forest. So it's going to be like dark, not just, oh, I went for a walk in the dark, whatever. Like I live in the Midwest. It gets dark at 4 o'clock. Darkness is just how we live our lives in the winter. But a street lamp 1,000 feet away can actually still up my visibility because 1, I can see it. And then 2, there's just splash everywhere. I mean, you just look around, it's like, well, there's like a gray or a white building. And then there's another person, like they got their window open. I can kind of see a light from their bedroom. Those are all nice visibility landmarks. Now imagine you can see nothing, absolutely zero. So now you get out your cell phone, put it on flashlight mode, and I mean, honestly, if your cell phone was full, you'd probably get some juice out of it. But the flashlights I got are pretty beast. I have done rundown tests on them, but they also overheated during the rundown tests, so keep that in mind. The higher the output, the more the resistance. If you don't get a super high-end one with crazy thermal like heat sinking to the chassis, and even then it has its limits. So if you get some crazy actual lumen count one, usually they have 8-minute limits, just remember that. And they're going to run out of batteries real quick. And still, you can only see so many trees ahead, and if there's the desert, then you've got nothing to bounce off of but the sand. So in both cases, a flashlight doesn't get you very far. Now, if I'm walking around like a semi-rural area, kind of like even suburban, somewhere not urban that wouldn't just have full streetlights, I'm bouncing off of hedges and rows of trees and like little brick walls and little decorative lawn gnomes and reflective this and that, and a car parked over, because like I got a flashlight that could hit a mile easily. But that's because there's something that I can see, something for it to bounce off of. Dark, colored brown tree bark is not going to get you very far. Man, I cannot stress how much flashlights do not work in forests. They just don't. So 1, don't go out at night. 2, bring a headlamp. My current one has multiple brightness settings, a slightly different color pitch too. It's got like 6,500 Kelvin and then 5,000 Kelvin, which is blue pure white versus like a little bit of orange off-white. And those do bounce different off of different materials. And it runs on 2 18650 batteries. And if I'm going out hiking, I've got 4 of them waterproof cases, fresh, 3,000 milliamp hours a piece. I could run that headlamp for probably like 12 hours off of those total. And how long is it going to stay dark? And can I turn it off for a little bit? Because at a certain point, I'm giving up and building a shelter and sleeping. So don't assume we have technology, I can fight the dark, and then you're just wrong. And don't assume that just because you walked a place 5 years ago that you'll remember all the little trail that go this way and that way and landmarks. And maybe they changed a sign on you. Maybe that tree fell over in a storm. Just don't get overconfident in the dark. Okay, you're basically hiking on hard mode, and offline GPS is going to be your friend, because if you can't see, the GPS can see for you. but only if you put little pins in it and remember the longitude and latitude of where you're supposed to go or where you came from and that kind of stuff. So like, don't just say, oh yeah, I'm overconfident I can get there. No problem. And the last major category was equipment failure. Now this one was all over the place. On some places it was like 90%, but that's because it was literally like an ATV trail. So of course it was an equipment failure. And then other places this was down in the 5% because they're like, well, what equipment? You know, you're this, that, and the other thing breaks. We'll just slowly make your way out the same way you were gonna. So I'm going to say that this is like anything from a hiking stick to like your phone telling you where to go. It runs out of batteries, it gets wet, it whatever. Anything you're wearing, usually that would be footwear. It gets too cold for your batteries to work. That's a thing. If you're like, whoa, where did 40% of my battery go? Yeah, if it's Arctic temperatures and you put it in your outer pocket, that's where it went. It didn't dissipate into the air though. If you put it up against like under your armpit or up against your skin or just whatever you got to do, put a hand warmer on it, strap it directly to it. I've done that. You will get that percentage back. It's just like a chemical potential energy thing. You would think, you know, electricity works better in the cold. So batteries do, but batteries do the opposite. Copper lines do, but that doesn't matter if the battery can't generate anything. Don't buy cheap Chinese crap equipment. That just goes without saying. Avoid fake reviews, which are, so it's like avoid Amazon.com, also for moral and business reasons. I haven't bought anything on Amazon in years, except when I absolutely could not find it elsewhere. They are so flooded with garbage bot reviews and just like people buying better rankings and sponsor results, it's just trash. eBay, it's all Chinese stuff that doesn't look or act the same when you get it. High failure prone garbage. I mean, I test a lot of gear on this channel, but it's like super low end stuff. So it's not like just, oh, this company sent it to me. I wonder if I'll give it a overwhelmingly positive review. Okay, we don't play that on this channel. And in fact, people have tried and I've rejected them once they found out what the reputation for their portable lithium battery powered water filters that use reverse osmosis are. Not naming a brand or anything, but well, it's still a no. I'm not going to shell something that expensive that doesn't work. Okay, it's unreliable, it's Chinese, and your English translation or email was garbage. And y'all kept forgetting to email me back. But I would solve this instantly. Go to a website like campingsurvival.com. I keep shouting them out despite them not paying me because that's where I get a lot of my gear and they're just really good. And other preppers that I actually trust have told me to go there. They test all their gear. If it's sold on their website, they vetted it. So it's just like, hey, this is good. Now you could go to a channel and be like, this guy tests gear all the time and I trust him, but a lot of those are sent for free and that does affect it. You know, if it's a company that sells more than one thing, if you ever want to hear from them again, you give them a little bit more positive review. So you can't even trust the gear experts on YouTube. You just can't. I would say probably Project Farm would be the only one. And he doesn't test a lot of survival gear. Like his knife review was so scientific, it was ridiculous though. Oh, and his testing of the battery backup units. Oh my gosh. Like the best, absolute best in the world. Go check out Project Farm. But if you don't want to do that, just go to Camping Survival or find like some other place that isn't just some Chinese drop shipping importer who has no standards, you know? Find a place that actually like tests their stuff and was vetted by other people. And the funny thing is their prices are better than eBay. In fact, I think they have an eBay store and their prices are better on their own store because they have to pay eBay about 12%. And if you do find some boutique store that's just like, yeah, we test everything. Here's our ratings. Here's even a quick video of us testing it. Here's us out in the woods. And here's us like using a thing to see if it breaks. And you're like, okay, cool. And then you go buy it on eBay because they gave you the brand and the model number. Like whatever. It's called showrooming, I think. Hey, they put in all that effort and their prices are still too high. It's a bad business model. Welcome to 2024. Heck, welcome to 2005. I'm still going to get it from a different vendor if I can prove that it's not a counterfeit, okay? Thanks for the info. Bye. But you go on like Newegg, you go on Amazon, you go on eBay, you're going to find fake reviews. Nothing but fake reviews from the people who know that it's garbage. They're the ones who go out of their way to make sure that their bot tells you that it's good. It's not. So besides where you source your gear so that it doesn't break in the first 5 minutes, 2, test it. You know, just go walking around your neighborhood and just like try it out. See if the batteries in the flashlight run as long as they do. See if the GPS unit you bought actually gets signal. You know, test the app out. See if that map actually works. See if the whistle is actually obnoxiously loud. See how far the beam on the flashlight goes. See if the radio can actually get 1 mile or if they're completely lying. You know, test if the container's waterproof with nothing in it. You just need a rainy day or a bathtub like this, you know, just go out of your way to be like, yeah, okay, I did some basic vetting of this thing that I got. Also, I mean, you guys know the saying, 2 is 1, 1 is none, because assume it'll break. But if you're hiking Every ounce, every space in the backpack is so critical. You can only bring so much stuff. I would bring 2 knives and 2 ways to build a fire, and that's about it. Maybe 2 water containers, maybe. But I usually have a lightweight aluminum pan with just like other stuff in it. Usually my med kit's in it because, space is space. Put it in there. And the thing weighs about 3 ounces and could technically sort of carry, but also, boil water. So that's fine. But man, if you had like 2 water filters, 2 radios, 2 phones, I mean, if it's light and you can fit it, go for it. But it adds up, and if you're even a little overweight, then that adds up even more. Your knees and your feet are not going to be thanking you if you've got a 30-pound pack because you brought 2 of everything in case it breaks. That might actually be the reason that you get injured or have to stop or the gear fails, is you overloaded your pack and broke one of the straps. So I think hiking or going out in the woods is kind of the exception, but like I said, 2 knives, 2 fire, 2 water. That's where I would draw the line. Also, just bring some kind of signaling item. Usually a signal fire, you can make a fire of smoke by putting green stuff or wet stuff on it. That's going to be better than like, oh, I brought a smoke grenade or whatever. That's a little stupid. That's a little heavy, a little dangerous. Hard to travel with. That's just stupid when you could build your own. I've heard of mirrors, but like if you're signaling a plane and then they just be like, who's that guy? And whatever, it's just the campsite, whatever. Really, like a high decibel whistle. Or a really bright light or some crazy like directional funny colored LED. Not really that big or heavy, but it's a little fragile to bring like a high powered glow stick, like an 8-hour military one. That's not really signaling. I think LEDs outperform them in general, except in the cold, but those things get a lot less bright in the cold too, the glow sticks. So there's not much for signaling, but just like have it in the back of your head where like I'm going here. If I needed to signal someone, what are we doing? Like are we doing noise? Are we doing sight? Are we doing light? What are we doing? And the last one that I didn't really find, but I'm going to have it be an overriding, like unknown percent, is overestimating yourself, overestimating your physical ability, your ability to tolerate heat, cold, or water. Like I said, getting wet. Oh, well, I'm just wet. I'll just power through it. I'm a man. And then you stop it, all of a sudden you are just deathly cold. Water is so detrimental. You can't just be like, oh, I'm slightly uncomfortable, but it's just the woods. I'm not going to be a baby. I'm not glamping. I'm camping. Yeah, getting absolutely soaked is horrible for your skin, for fungal issues, for like chafing, and then it would start bleeding. And don't try to power your way through getting absolutely drenched. But don't try to power through the cold or the heat either. The heat's not that hard. Just pick up your pace, real easy, until you run out of calories. So don't just say, well, I won't get hungry the next 4 hours. I don't need to bring like an overnight thing. I won't drink that much water. Yeah, if everything goes perfect, and did you take that exact pack with that exact weight, in fact, throw an extra 5 in it, and walk around your neighborhood for 5 miles? Did you even try that? Did you see how uncomfortable your feet got? Are you wearing the right socks? How sweaty did you get? Did you start getting dry mouth? How much are you exhaling? What's the humidity? I mean, do a dry run first, but also, however physically apt you think you are and whatever your physical ability is, you could almost just cut it right in half if you haven't done this a million times over. Like you haven't gone hiking through all kinds of different forests and all kinds of different areas. Or like the desert, or you're like, well, it's not that hot in Vegas. Heck, I had to stop and get some emergency water just walking in Vegas. And that's a full urban environment. But boy, people really don't give you a lot of water unless you're flashing a lot of money or you pay for it. A lot of places close. A lot of places have lines. It was a lot of walking, and the Walgreens is a lot farther than you think. Really wish I would have brought like a flask or something, or a canteen. And I knew deserts were hot. I didn't know they got that cold in urban environments. I thought that was just like, I don't know where I thought that was. I was just wrong. But it gets down into like 20s, 30s, 40s at night, which still to me in February meant t-shirt weather, and I was just fine. I was still sweating. But a lot of people walk around at night in some skimpy little stupid, vacation shirt, or, the ladies wearing their dumb going out for a night out outfit. And they don't realize it gets below freezing sometimes in the desert because of the lack of clouds. So yeah, temperature swings. Look it up. Look up what happened the whole week, like the historic weather before you go to the place you're going to hike, and say, well, it got this high and this low, and this is what it's projected for. I should plan for that in case I get stuck out there. But also know how well you do in extreme cold, moderate cold, normal temperatures, and a little bit of heat and extreme heat. Once you know what your body can do, just assume there's other factors and assume you're going to get stuck out there for twice as long as you planned, and then plan for that. So that's about it. That covers all the different studies that I could find. I think I was working on 4 different ones there. So yeah, watch out for wandering off the trail purposely or not and then not be able to find your way back, weather events, injuries, darkness and equipment failure, and then overestimating your abilities mixed in with all of those. Let me know if you have any other great tips involving hiking and safety and anything I might have missed. Leave it in the comments section and subscribe if you want some more killer content, and I'll see you guys next time.